Hello everybody, this is Johns Hopkins with Baltimore Heritage, and I'm back with another of our 5-Minute Histories videos. And I'm standing in the middle of a bocce ball court in Little Italy, and that's what we're going to talk about today. But I have to first say thank you to everybody. I realize we're heading into our 6th month of these videos, I think video number 85 maybe, and with a pipeline equally that long or longer. And want to say thanks to all those who have suggested videos, including a gentleman, Matt Daddio, who suggested Little Italy today. And of course, all of you who have contributed so far and are thinking about contributing. You've gotten us through this first 6 months of COVID, and we're rolling into the future. Finally, I want to say thanks to a gentleman who I don't know, and I'm going to butcher his name, but I'm going to try it anyway. Vincenzo Scarpacci. He writes for a journal called Italiana Americana, and he did a series on the history of Little Italy that's just great, so look it up if you can. All right, I'm going to start by saying something kind of blasphemous, or at least sounds blasphemous, and that is Little Italy has not always been Italian. It got its start around 1700 with immigrants from England and Ireland, and then folks moving into the booming Baltimore town from other parts of the colonies. But it started to get its flavor as an Italian community around 1870, 1880. Probably the first Italian folks came over by way of ships carrying marble. Baltimore had an enormous marble cutting operation, including a firm called Hillgartner Stone that's still going strong after 100+ years, part of our legacy business program, by the way. But soon, tons of other immigrants from Italy started arriving, skilled laborers like tailors and unskilled laborers who would work in the canneries, in the clothing factories downtown, on construction jobs. And life was pretty dense. There were 3 to 4 people on average per bedroom, sometimes upwards of 6 or 7. And outside it was kind of noisy. There were street peddlers galore, as well as musicians, organ grinders, and hurdy-gurdy operators. If you don't know what a hurdy-gurdy was, that was kind of a mechanical musical machine on wheels. A place called Slemmer's Alley, which is still here just off of President Street, was known as Monkey Row for all the sidekick monkeys of the organ grinders that would hang out there, as well as an occasional bear. So quite a colorful place. And a passing Methodist minister lamented that there were no fewer than 47 saloons in Little Italy. So also quite the scene there too. All right, I want to talk about 3 pillars of Little Italy, and that's St. Leo's Church, politics, and restaurants. Let's start with St. Leo's. It was founded in 1880, got its start in 1880 under Archbishop Gibbons. The Archbishop recognized that the Italian community had grown so that it could have its own Catholic church with sermons in Italian, but that broke down pretty soon. The first father, Father Andrei, started saying parts of the sermons in English, and he claimed it was because Italians were coming over and marrying non-Italians who didn't speak Italian, so he needed to have English in the sermons. The folks around the corner at St. Vincent's de Paul Catholic Church thought otherwise. They thought he was speaking English to cherry-pick congregants away from their church. They appealed to the Archbishop, who tried to stay out of the mess, but eventually couldn't, and then came down on the side of St. Leo's. So it's had its priests speak in English at least parts of the time since the very beginning. And maybe the real reason that Father Andrei wanted to speak English is that he lamented that the Italian community, unlike some of the other ethnic communities in Baltimore, wasn't going to church at all. It wasn't that his congregants were going somewhere else, as they weren't going to church at all. And that lament was shared by the nuns around the corner at St. Francis. One wrote back then, she asks, "Why in all these years so few of the lovely Italian girls enter the convent? There has been only one in 14 years. So a lament shared by many, apparently. St. Leo's soon grew to have a school, upwards of 300 kids in it, known to be quite strict. The nuns there were quite strict, including one time throwing out a young Tommy D'Alessandro for cutting up in class and yelling at him on the way out the door, "You'll never amount to much in life. Of course, young Tommy went on to become a U.S. congressman and 3-term mayor of Baltimore. But that's maybe another story. So St. Leo's Church, and then one other festival we have to talk about is the Feast of St. Anthony. During the Great Fire of 1904, as the winds were blowing eastward from downtown, about to jump the Jones Falls and come over here to Little Italy, a number of folks went to St. Leo to pray before the feet of the statue of St. Anthony. And lo and behold, when they emerged, the wind shifted and the fire stopped. It did not cross the Jones Falls. And in thanks to that, that year they started a feast which became an annual thing, which still goes on, the Feast of St. Anthony here in Little Italy, to pay thanks for sparing this community from the 1904 fire. All right, want to jump, our time is running out here. We could do more, but let me talk about politics. The first Italian politician, and let me make sure I get his name right, was not in Maryland, was not from Little Italy. It was Anthony DeMarco in 1906. But by the 19-teens, Little Italy had become playing a central role in Baltimore's democratic machine. A gentleman named Vincent Palmisano was the first Italian-American of any part of any state to be elected to Congress, and that was an enormous feat. He entered the U.S. House of Representatives. And of course, in the 1930s, Thomas D'Alessandro Jr. Got his start and turned Little Italy into a hub of democratic politics. Again, 3-term mayor and congressman. His son, Tommy III, went on to become a 2-term mayor, learning bare-knuckle politics at the kitchen table from his father. And then, of course, the other person at that table, young person, was Tommy's daughter, Nancy Pelosi, who's now the Speaker of the House of Representatives. So clearly a political dynasty here. Final thing is restaurants. Let's turn to restaurants. The restaurant scene in Little Italy didn't really begin until the 1930s. Before that, you had boarding houses and you had grocers, but you didn't really have what we would know as restaurants. But around the 1930s, the grocers and the boarding houses realized, especially the boarding houses, that they were serving food that was really good, and people were coming in, non-boarders were coming in to ask for soups and whatnot that turned into spaghettis, and then all sorts of wonderful Italian dishes. Some of the earlier restaurants, I think the earliest one might have been Roma, which sadly is not here anymore. But there are a number that date to the 1950s and even maybe a little bit before. Maybe I'll end with a few people who you may recognize who have eaten here. In the 30s, H.L. Mencken would trek across town from West Baltimore for Italian meals. And then none other than Al Capone would eat here. He was in Baltimore getting treated for syphilis at the time. And he went to a restaurant. His favorite was called Maria's, apparently. And he had a policy that his bodyguards would stand in the kitchen watching the cook wherever he was, so that nobody would poison him. But Maria had her own policy, and Maria's policy was that nobody was in the kitchen while she was cooking. And in the end, Maria's policy won out. Al Capone capitulated and allowed his bodyguards to just stand by the door while Maria prepared her dishes for the gangster. And I'll leave you with this. The final person you may have heard of who ate here was Spiro Agnew, none other than our own Spiro Agnew, who, after resigning as Vice President of the United States at the courthouse downtown, walked the few blocks over here and ate a nice dinner at Sabatino's. And with that, I'll say thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.